Blake Lively's lawyer has resigned, citing explosive new revelations that made her legal and moral defense untenable.
It's falling down for you guys because people perceive you as...
Daniel Keene exposed 64 emails and 17 draft filings proving Blake Lively's lawsuit was just a calculated, fame-driven PR stunt.
We want all evidence to come out that's proper and appropriate.
Even her legal team refused to support the manipulation any longer.
New York Times actively vouched for the veracity of its false narrative.
On May 30th, the man cracked completely. He didn't just resign, he detonated. In a move that felt more like whistleblowing on a federal conspiracy than a legal fallout, he handed over 64 internal emails and 17 draft legal documents directly to Baldwin's team. And no, the criminal wasn't a covert agency, just Blake Lively's ego on a self-destruct mission. What did those files reveal? Nothing too surprising if you've been tracking Blake's increasingly desperate Duluth era. This wasn't a real case. It had nothing to do with justice, truth, or actual harm. It was a scripted PR spectacle, written, produced, and headlined by Blake herself, with Ryan Reynolds lurking behind the scenes like a Marvel villain with Wi-Fi.
You're not defined by anything any man has ever done to you or will ever do to you, that your identity is you. And
I wish this were a joke, but one of the actual legal filings included Deadpool gifs. Another cited BuzzFeed headlines. Seriously, what in the 2014 Tumblr fever dream is this? Blake wasn't trying to present legal arguments. She was trying to go viral. She treated court filings like tweets, believing that meme references might actually influence a judge. It was performance over principle, clout over credibility. No wonder Daniel Keene threw in the towel and said, "I'm out."
It was monstrous what she did, and she's got to pay for it.
Live birth porn.
And let's not forget Leslie Sloan. Who is she, you ask? Just Blake Lively's publicist, not a lawyer, not legally trained, but somehow she was editing court documents. Yes, a woman better known for curating red carpet Pinterest boards was finalizing federal legal filings. And here's the kicker. Even Taylor Swift quietly backed away after being slapped with a fake subpoena. No public comment, no Instagram story, no vague lyrics, just silence. And in Swift world, that's louder than any statement. That was her way of saying, "Girl, you're on your own." When your own inner circle ghosts you, you know it's bad.
Right now, if Taylor had one wish, it would be that she never met Blake.
Once hailed as Hollywood's sweetheart, Blake Lively is now the courtroom's biggest red flag. Her legal team?
Gone.
Her friends?
Silent.
Her image? DOA. All she has left is a pile of cringeworthy memes masquerading as legal arguments, and a husband who clearly doesn't understand the meaning of professional boundaries. It's a full-blown PR collapse.
3 out of 8 employees filed legal claims against Blake.
But wait, it gets dumber. Because Blake, ever the self-declared mastermind, apparently decided court filings weren't about facts or evidence. They were about headlines. Actual, viral-ready, click-chasing headlines. According to leaked Slack logs, she ordered her team to include specific phrases and emotionally charged buzzwords not to support legal claims, but to tug at heartstrings and trend on TikTok. No, seriously, they were color-coding emotional language like it was a marketing deck. Someone needs to explain to Blake that federal judges are not scrolling through Instagram reels for legal inspiration. One of the filings literally opened with the line, "Asterisk, I am the Jane Doe of modern Hollywood." Asterisk, I mean, come on. This isn't a Teen Vogue op-ed. This is a federal courtroom. There are laws, standards, procedures, and Blake was busy staging what Daniel Keene, her now former lawyer, bluntly called legal theater and narrative litigation. Translation? She was completely unhinged. Even after being warned to stop, Blake doubled down. She insisted on maintaining narrative momentum, her words, and demanded that every new legal cycle include at least 3 celebrity-adjacent names. Not because they were involved, but because she needed fresh tabloid traction. She was treating a lawsuit like a red carpet press tour, tossing names into the mix for buzz. But the final straw, the moment Daniel Keene knew he'd rather represent a parking meter than continue, was when Blake tried to submit altered text messages from 2018 as evidence. Not redacted, altered, fabricated. The metadata exposed it all. And she still expected Keene to file them under oath to a federal court. That's not just unethical, it's delusional.
Odd, because the 99.9% of these documents and these text messages are in this data form that are extracted from Cellbrite, which is a data extractor forensic tool.
And then there's Ryan Reynolds. Instead of calming the chaos, he fanned the flames, actually suggesting they include Deadpool quotes in the legal filings. Yes, you read that right. Ryan Reynolds thought quipping like his Marvel alter ego could be a viable legal strategy. You truly can't make this up. Daniel Keene's reply? Deadpan, brutal, and composed. Asterisk, this isn't a press junket. This is federal court. Asterisk, which is lawyer speak for. Asterisk, are y'all seriously out of your minds? Asterisk, but it didn't stop there. Blake, in what can only be described as a fever dream of bad decisions, proposed filing a motion that blamed Hugh Jackman, yes, Wolverine, for influencing public opinion.
Why?
Because he'd once made a vaguely positive comment about Baldwin. No evidence. No quotes. Just vibes. Welcome to the era of vibes-based litigation. Even Keene's law partners were floored. They reportedly asked him, "Why are you quitting mid-trial?" His response was as scathing as it was honest. Asterisk, this isn't a case. It's a PR campaign in legal costume. Asterisk, the man had reached his breaking point. Spiritually, mentally, ethically, he was done. He walked into court expecting law and order, and walked out of what felt like a reality show audition. But Keene didn't just resign. He detonated. His resignation memo, now infamous, was titled Asterisk, "This will destroy you." Asterisk addressed directly to both Blake and Ryan's teams. It warned that their demands violated multiple sections of the American Bar Association's professional code and could invite federal investigation. When your own lawyer is warning you about criminal scrutiny, it's beyond damage control, it's implosion. And yet, Blake still saw it all as part of her boss babe redemption arc. But this isn't a courtroom drama. She's not the heroine. She is the drama. Daniel Keene didn't simply resign, he escaped. And now Blake stands alone, exposed and lawyerless, because when you prioritize headlines over justice, even your legal team starts plotting their exit like it's a jailbreak.
This, to me, just proves that this was the plan all along.
The fact that a seasoned, well-respected legal professional with a decades-long career chose to leak documents to the opposing team tells you everything you need to know. This wasn't a client you defend. It was a client you run from before your entire reputation goes up in flames. Honestly, I feel bad for Daniel Keene. Imagine spending years studying law, graduating from Harvard, building an impeccable record, only to find yourself forced to argue that Deadpool memes and Hugh Jackman fan theories were somehow legally admissible. That's not a lawyer. That's a hostage with a bar license. Now, let's talk about the legal disaster Blake lively calls a strategy. This woman had the audacity to file over a dozen motions like she was entering a BuzzFeed quiz contest, not a federal court. And two of those motions? Rule 11 sanctions, basically the court's way of saying, asterisk, please stop wasting our time with nonsense. Asterisk, and it gets worse. These filings weren't just weak, they were copy-pasted, as in Control+C, Control+V, then straight to federal court. Imagine thinking you're going to win a $400 million lawsuit using recycled Google Docs. Then came the mic drop moment that should have ended her entire performance, a 170-page document dump. That's right, 170 pages of texts, emails, receipts, and digital fingerprints proving one thing beyond doubt. Blake Lively wasn't the victim. She was the aggressor. The same woman who positioned herself as some misunderstood, fragile muse of pain was exposed as the manipulative force orchestrating every PR leak, every media twist, every "poor me" headline. And it wasn't just damning. It was embarrassing. We don't know if the judge laughed or cried while reviewing her filings, but he did go on record labeling her behavior a drama queen routine. This wasn't court anymore. It was theater. Bad theater. Off-Broadway. No tickets sold. Critics walked out before intermission. Blake had turned the courtroom into BuzzFeed, the sequel, with the legal coherence of a high school improv troupe on 5 Red Bulls. And the real comedy? Her use of group pleading. If you've never heard of it, don't worry, it's as lazy as it sounds. She tossed in names like Jamie Heath, Melissa Nathan, and Valden Incorporated with zero direct connection to her so-called trauma. No evidence. No involvement. Just collateral damage for her next headline. Blake turned the lawsuit into a tag yourself meme. If you've been in the same room as Justin Baldwin, congrats. You're now a defendant.
In December, Blake sent out a press pack to different media outlets and provided them an attachment of screenshots that were never actually submitted to the CR.
And because Blake never misses a chance to dig herself deeper, she went after Brian Friedman with emotion so empty the court basically said, "Ma'am, this is embarrassing." The judge called it legally hollow and denied it without even blinking. Blake didn't just lose that battle, she was publicly rejected by the very system she tried to manipulate. Honestly, the only thing she's managed to file correctly so far is her own reputation, straight into the courtroom's trash bin. Now, onto the most ridiculous chapter in this whole saga, the fake therapist subpoena. Yes, it actually happened. Blake and Ryan tried to subpoena Justin Baldwin's childhood therapist, not someone involved in the case, not a relevant witness, just some random therapist from decades ago who hadn't spoken publicly, wasn't listed anywhere, and had zero bearing on the trial. But sure, why not throw that in? And guess who helped draft that multi-state subpoena? Ryan Reynolds. Because obviously, when you need professional legal guidance, you turn to the guy who once played a farting superhero in red leather. Their twisted logic? They were trying to build some emotional pattern argument, a psychological profile based on absolutely nothing. No evidence. No facts. Just nothing. Internal memos reveal Blake followed up 3 times in 1 week about that ridiculous subpoena. She called it pre-trial narrative shaping. Daniel Keene, bless his soul, called it what it really was, legal terrorism. Because that's what you call it when court filings get weaponized just to scare people, and Ryan, ever the PR genius, thought it was a good idea to frame Blake's trauma as performance art. He literally pitched using Deadpool quotes in court, then tried blaming caterers and Hugh Jackman for biased public sentiment. No joke. Ryan proposed blaming Wolverine for bad press. I've seen bad legal strategies, but blaming a movie star's vibes? That's a whole new level of stupid. Blake, of course, never misses a cringe opportunity. She started demanding rewrites of motions to make herself look like the boss babe of the year. Meanwhile, Daniel Keene, now basically a hostage with a law degree, flat out refused to ghostwrite what he called trauma porn. This wasn't legal work. It was Instagram captions dressed up as court filings. Then came the internal PR tactic that should be taught in clown college. Shock and seal the plan. Leak something spicy to gossip blogs first. Let it trend. Then file the court motion days later to make the story look legit all along. This wasn't legal work. It was PR manipulation masquerading as litigation. And Blake thought she was slick. Girl, you're no Olivia Pope. You're just sloppy. BY now. People weren't just uncomfortable. They were jumping ship like rats fleeing a burning yacht. Taylor Swift ghosted Blake so hard it echoed. After being subpoenaed in a fake stunt designed to extract personal data, Taylor said nothing. No support. Not a peep. And when Taylor Swift won't even give you a passive-aggressive,